interview that we're doing this week, the whole entire week, about not just surviving, but thriving while living with lupus. And today I have complete honor on introducing my friend, Deanna. Deanna, live well. I love you. So I love what you're doing. So welcome, girl. Welcome to this one.
Oh, you are the sweetest. Thank you so much. You just bring joy into my life.
Well,
That's it. You're just wonderful.
no, thank you. Well, you definitely bring joy in my heart too. So I want to hear your story. We want to hear your story. So tell us a little bit about everything that's happened to you. I'd love to hear more about everything that you've been going through with lupus and why you say, don't just survive, thrive. Can you tell us a little more?
Sure, I'd be happy to tell you about it. Well, first of all, I wasn't diagnosed with lupus until about 6 years ago now. And if I look back, I can realize that I have probably had it since my late 20s, early 30s.
Oh,
They just didn't test for it back then. There wasn't a lot said about it. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. When a woman went to the doctor and said they were tired, they just said, "Oh, sleep some more. You're probably anemic. Let's give you some iron pills. You've got a lot going on. You've just got that mother syndrome where you're just doing everything all the time. Don't worry about it. Nothing can be wrong." Well, they're
right.
wrong. I've spent years going through everything that's wrong. But what happened was, after um, a whole bunch of different instances happened, but after a major surgery, after I had had some tumors removed, um, I couldn't heal. It did not heal, and we didn't know what was going on. And the doctor kept running all these tests, and nothing could be figured out. And he is one of the best oncologists out there. He's the head of Mercy Hospital. So, I had the best care possible, and we still couldn't figure out why I couldn't heal and why I had no energy, and I just wasn't getting better. And when I say I couldn't heal, I don't think people quite understand. When you think of couldn't heal, you think of somebody who's maybe not up to par. Maybe they just don't want to go out and have a cocktail every now and again. No, this meant that I was laying flat on the sofa hours. I mean, like, we're talking, I was up 2 or 3 hours a day, and that was it. The rest of the time, I was down.
Wow.
I couldn't even move. It was bad. My iron levels looked good, and everything looked good, but there were some weird things going on in my blood tests. So we just watched that for a little while. It took about 14 weeks to heal from what should have been a 6-week recovery time. So that took a while, and it took a good year before I kind of felt myself again, what I thought was myself again. It definitely wasn't, but what I thought was myself again. And I started breaking out in these rashes. And coincidentally, every time I had a rash, we had been out to eat, and I had had green peppers. So we watched this for a while, and it happened over and over again. So we thought, must be a food allergy. I mean, something you eat something, and every time you eat it, you break out in a rash. You would think, yeah, it's a food allergy, right? I mean, that's pretty normal. So I went to the immunologist, and he ran all the tests, and there's no food allergy. But one of the tests that he ran checked for RA, RA plus diseases, and lupus. The ANA plus showed up all of a sudden. So I had to go over to Johns Hopkins, Dr. Marie Petrie. I don't know if you're familiar with her, since you're from Hopkins, but she's the head of the lupus lab there, the whole clinic. And she ran all the tests on me, and she said, "Well, we have found what's wrong with you. You have early stages of lupus. Oh, and by the way, you also have Raynaud's, connective tissue disorder, and probably some other ones that we're going to discover along the way." So we did a whole lot of blood work, and she recommended a rheumatologist for the every monthly kind of things, because once you get on these cycles, I'm seeing 6 specialists all the time. It's a 3-month cycle, always alternating, so it feels like I'm constantly at the doctor's office, and I am was constantly at the doctor's office. So I was seeing her. She referred me to him, and he just said, "We're going to put you on Plaquenil. That's it. That's all we can do for you. There's really nothing else we can do for lupus." well, that's not going to work too well because we also found out I had fibromyalgia same time. Well, that's, if people don't know what that is, that's the nerve endings are just on fire. It's like when you light up a sparkler and the little ends that are all glittering all the time. Well, that's the ends of my nerves. They feel just like that. They're constantly on fire. And even just the slightest touch is enough to just put me through the roof. It just, the pain was unbearable. So he wasn't helping. So I saw another rheumatologist, and she was able to put me on several different rounds. We went through multiple rounds of all different kinds of medications, everything from like a Tesla. You'll see all these are advertised on TV. They're huge pharmaceuticals. They're advertised on TV. So when we tried every one, you try when you're doing something like this, you try from the least harmful all the way on up. So right before I met you, I was on Taltz. So it was one of the, unfortunately, immunosuppressant ones, which is, again, not good because then you catch everything in the world that's out there. I also have stage 3 kidney disease. So I have to be very careful on what I do take, because we don't want to have anything, cause more problems to the kidneys. That's for sure. So, no NSAIDs. No, a lot of the anti-inflammatory stuff I can't even take. And yet the problem with lupus is inflammation.
Yeah.
So there's a big issue. If you're full of inflammation and you can't take any anti-inflammatories, you're not going to get better.
Right.
So that was a big one for me. And
You look so
how,
good. What is that?
sorry?
I'm curious because you look so amazing with all of this. Knowing you, right? I'm like, I didn't even know all that was going on for you. Why is
Nobody does. Yeah,
nobody?
nobody does. Because what happens with, and I find this, and I'm learning this as I go along, almost anybody that has chronic health issues, they find a way so that you don't see them, because we get tired of answering the question, how do you feel today? And I'll say, I'm tired. Well, everybody assumes that my tired is the same as everybody else's tired. That just means I didn't sleep well that night. No, my tired might mean that I'm ready to be literally comatose for a day or 2 or 5 weeks. And I've been 5 weeks at a time like that. So people don't understand. So after a while, we learn to put on makeup and do our hair and look a certain way on the outside, and to answer the question, oh, I'm fine. I'm doing really well. It's fine. It's no problem. Because we just don't want to get into it, because people they don't understand. Somebody doesn't understand when I say I'm in pain, that pain isn't, I took a hit in my finger and the pain goes away after a while. That pain is a constant, somebody is stabbing my entire body with a knife all the time kind of pain. And people can't comprehend that.
No, I get that. So I'm curious, what happened? Because something good happened, right, in all of this, and I'm so thrilled to hear that, because there is so little solutions out there, like you described, right? So what happened? I really would love dying.
Well, you're right. There's very little solutions, and between all the doctors, I ended up on about 30 medications a day. About 30 a day. A few of them were shots, and they were monthly, so I had to take, I had to just stick myself with needles monthly. That wasn't fun. And then some were quarterly, and I had to do those quarterly. And the next step for me would have been infusions, and I didn't want to go that route. So I started looking into what I could change in my diet, and I've changed everything in my diet. And I started looking into gut health. And once I started learning more about gut health, I am, I just don't know how this happens, but people are put into your life at the right time for when you need them. And lo and behold, here I am in this women's networking group. And there's this angel that comes in and says, you might want to talk to me sometime. And I'm going, no, I'm good. I'm finally starting to get a little bit better. Now, mind you, I'm not good. Remember, I said I can always say I'm good. And I wasn't good. I was much better than I had been, which for me was good, but that wasn't good. And then I kind of watched and I kind of listened and I kind of did a little more research. And then, in case anybody hasn't figured out who that little angel was, it's Anna Marie. So, Anna Marie being an RN and having dealt with trauma, by the way, trauma is often the cause of autoimmunes to rear their ugly head. You know, and once you're prone to an autoimmune, if something tragic happens or something really hard for your body, like a major surgery like mine, um, you're very likely to get it. I mean, and they don't just come in ones; they come in multiples, and it is frustrating. And then so I would say, I don't know, what, about a month after knowing you, I think maybe about a month.
Yeah.
Probably I watched and I thought, she's doing something. Something's working. I'm going to find out more about it. So then we started talking and I thought, I don't know what it is, but you know what? I'm willing to give it a try because I don't like the way I feel. If I take all these medicines, I can't do anything. I'm zoned out. Pain pills, I can't drive. I can't, be around people. I'm just kind of like sleepwalking through life. And that's no way to live. I'm not that old. It's all relative, but I don't feel like I'm that old. And lo and behold, I've been 2.5 months now in Amare, and I got to tell you, it's life changing. I mean, when I say now that I'm good, I actually am good. I actually can walk, and I was on a cane. I was to the point where I could not walk without a cane. I was falling over, literally. I would fall face first on the ground. And that's horrifying for me because my kids have seen that. And that scares me. And that scares me when I'm watching the grandkids. And I would fall because one of my legs doesn't work. And that's all related. It goes numb. It doesn't lift up. It's neuropathy. And it's just a mess. And I was just not, I was headed on a very bad track. So for me, all of a sudden to be turned around, I mean, it's just, it's more than turned around in a circle. It's like I was on that Himalaya ride and I went around and around and around and here I am. And I didn't even get sick along the way. So I did once. I'll tell you about that, but I did once. So I'm 2 months into Amare, and I got really, really sick. And I thought, something's wrong. Something's not working right. Going to the doctor. I got to see what's going on. This isn't working. I went to the doctor and found out that, guess what? I don't need those blood pressure pills anymore because my blood pressure was too low. So now my sick was that after decades, I'm talking decades on blood pressure pills. Both parents were on blood pressure pills. I no longer need them.
Wow.
My blood pressure went from, sky high. I was stroke level at one point. I was hospitalized at one point for it. And it went down to an average now is like 117, 120 over 70.
Wow.
I'm better than a teenager.
That,
Not quite, but definitely in my 20s. Right? That's good, right?
That's totally good. I remember the day you kind of messaged me around it and I was like, wow. And right, because it was like something, I don't feel well and let me go to the doctor. And then I don't have to be on these blood pressure medication anymore that I've been on for decades. And I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know what your doctor said, but I was like, yes. That was such
I know. She was shocked. She was absolutely shocked. And the other thing that happened to me right at the same time was right before a hurricane. So I had stocked up on bottles of water. Well, my body is so detoxed that bottles of water that had leaked the BPA into the water and I drank it, not even a lot, but I'm so clean inside that the little bit was making me ill. It was actually poisoning my system. Now, my husband drank it. My daughter drank it. They're both fine. But it was toxic to me because I've gotten all of that out of my system, which was just, more proof.
Yes.
Just more proof. Yeah. That's the kind of sick I don't mind getting.
So how many meds are you on right now? Because I want people to know that because I think that's exciting.
So it was 30, and there's a picture. We can prove it. That's my mail order supply that comes in. It's 90 days worth of pills, and so it was 30 prescriptions a day. And now I'm on 4. 4. And I'm still weaning off 2 of those 4.
Like I'm gonna
So
get down. I
I'm
love
going to get off the one of them. I'm going to have to stay on because the Plaquenil with lupus, it protects the organs. So I don't, and I'm okay with that. But I mean, I'm not on, and I'm going to name them. I know people don't always like to name what they've done, but guess what? I was on Ambien for sleeping. That's a dangerous one. I was on different painkillers, narcotics, and I couldn't even tolerate them, so I couldn't even take them, so they weren't helping me. So I mean, there was some major medications that I was taking that I no longer have to take, and the pain is controlled. It's unbelievable, and I can move better. My husband notices it. My kids notice it. You know, I still have bad days every now and again with the weather, but I am a little older than I used to be. So
So how has this really changed your life? If you look at it, in the last, what happened into you in the last, I guess, month and a half now, how has it changed your life? I'd love to hear
you know what it did? It gave me a new hope. It made me realize that I have a mission to help other people that are in the same situation, because if I can do it, they can do it. And I know what they feel like. I know how it feels to kind of like you wake up and you do whatever your day is, and you're not getting any satisfaction out of anything. You're not even really aware of what's going on. I mean, I was going places and not even aware of how I got there. It's kind of scary. Um, and I don't want other people to go through life like that, because they don't have to. You know, there's not a need for that. I don't, you know, I want to be able to tell that story so that other people aren't afraid to say, hey, look, I had depression. That was one of the things with chronic pain. You have depression. I had it, didn't even know I had it, because, you know, it comes on a little at a time, and all of a sudden that becomes your new normal. You know, here I thought that was my new normal, and I didn't know that I felt bad in that aspect until I felt good. That's how I saw the difference. So now for me, it's like, I just want everybody to give it a try, because I want them to feel better. I want their bodies to work like they're supposed to work. And I don't want them to have all these medicines in them that are just, one medicine would be to help because the first medicine caused a side effect. And then the second medicine would be because the first one caused this other side effect. And then that's how we got to 30 medicines. If I had to take a migraine med, then that made me nauseous. So then I had to take a nauseous med, and that made me dizzy. So then I had to take a med for being dizzy. It was insane. It was insane. And it didn't do anything. I don't know. It's just crazy.
I love your mission here, and I love how controlled you did, how your physician was on board as well with all of this, right? Was walking alongside of you as you changed all of this too. I love that, and I love your mission because there's so many people, right? We've talked to a lot of people this week. There's so many people who are suffering with autoimmune, with lupus, with pain, chronic pain, and it changes your life. And here you have an answer. I think that's remarkable. I really think it is. So tell us, if you had a wish for people moving forward as we're wrapping up this interview, I'd love to hear any kind of last words of advice that you have for people who have issues with autoimmune, with lupus. I would love to hear it. Kind of wrapping it up. Tell us what would you recommend? What would you tell them?
The main thing I would tell them is you have to get out of that oh pity me mindset and get into that I'm a fighter, I'm a survivor, and I can do this. And what I always tell people is, it's true. I have lupus. There's nothing I can do about that. I have lupus. But lupus does not have me. And it never will have me. I will fight to the very end. And I'm going to do the things that I enjoy in life, because otherwise, what's the point? If I'm not going to enjoy life, what's the point? And I would say to anybody, you've got to give this a try. What have you got to lose? You have to get your life back. It is not worth spending your life in bed miserable. That's not worth it. And I would say that about any of the chronic diseases. I would say that about mental illness, depressions, anxiety, PTSD, any of them. It's all the same. It's not, you forget, like I said, you forget what good feels like because you've gotten so used to not feeling good. And to get back to feeling good it's priceless. It's priceless.
I love that. Going back to feeling good, it's priceless. I absolutely love that. And I think you're so completely on target there. And, when I hear you talk, I'm like, this is one of the reasons why I left a career at Hopkins as a nurse and start doing this, because honestly, it gives me chills when I say that, because I've always said I've changed more lives doing these gut health protocol, this brain health protocol, and these natural products than I've ever done. Right. And so thank you so much for saying all these things, because yeah, we need to change more lives, right? We need to help people feel better. Yeah, so absolutely. I love that.
Thank you. We do. It's our job. This is what we need to do. That's why we were put here. I truly feel that.
Well, you're definitely here for a reason. So thank you so much for this interview. I would say anybody who's listening, who's watching, share this with somebody. And we'd love to share what we're doing in our gut brain protocol, right? And tell them how you came to it. It's not that hard. You're right, it's not that hard, but it is really profound. And I love your witness. I love your interview. I love what you're doing. So thank you so much, Deanna. And let's rock it in life, right? Let's have your mission be bigger, and let's go
Yes.
for what you want to do, right? Because that's in the
Yes. Let's help people.
let's help people. I love it.
Uh,
Awesome. Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you.
All right.